Yes, yes. Two dope
All right.
boys on a podcast,
On a
live in here,
podcast.
drinking some yellowy milk that's gonna stain my teeth on top of the black coffee that I drink every morning. This I've been doing it since fucking '08. Fun fact, I bought this TV in '08 and that shit still works. I bought that shit used. You don't get any more Indian than that, bro. I don't give a fuck.
No,
You know what I mean? Bought that
I know
shit.
exactly what you mean. There's sometimes you buy some shit used and it lasts fucking forever. And
I,
you buy some new shit and like it's gone.
I bought that shit cheap because I bought it for uni, and I was like, oh, it's probably gonna get destroyed for like during like house parties or like it's gonna
Sure.
fall. Thing has just been pumping, and that thing was never off for the 4 years during my undergrad. Thanks, mom, dad, for the paying for the education. Apparently, I received from a cable television box that I could have just gone at home. I told my wife that I basically paid to party for 4 years. She's like, oh my god, we are complete opposites, man. Like
Experience.
yeah, it was a great experience, and I came to love comedy and like creating film. We talked about this, you and I, that I met a good friend of mine in first year, and he's like a YouTube, well, was a YouTube like star. Now he's a little more behind the scenes. I haven't really been in touch with him, but apparently, I think he's writing a TV show. Shout out
Nice.
to Just Rain, that's the homie. We used to do a radio show together. We did like a bunch of YouTube videos together. I just fell in love with like that whole like comedy thing. I was always a
Yeah.
fan of it, but then that kind of like sparked that like, okay, I could like create my own shit, right? Yeah, it was awesome. If anything,
So
that
I
was
had a
worth
que-
it.
I had a question in that same vein. So how much do you think creativity and creative pursuits are, how much are they luck, complete like luck, and how much do you think are they vicinity? So, for example, Chris Rock has like two cousins who are stand-up comedians, and or I'm sorry, two brothers who are stand-up comedians, and then also a
Cousins that
cousin
are so
who is a stand-up
hang on.
comedian.
Chris Rock has two cousins,
Two brothers who are stand-up comedians, Tony Rock
right?
and I can't remember the other dude's name. And then he also has like a couple cousins who are stand-up comedians, right? So I'm like, are they, were they just all like a hilarious family, or was it just like, or was it the fact that his family saw him succeeding and they're like, oh, I kind of think I'm funny, let me try that too. And
It's gonna be a
seeing somebody do
combination
it.
of a bunch of those things, man.
So I ask because I mean, I've had the opportunity to be around like some really creative people the past couple of years, some really successful people, creative people. And you know that whole thing about like that old cliche about like if you're like if you want to better yourself, hang out with people who are better than you.
Yeah, you are the sum average of the five people you spend the most time with.
Oh, that's good. I never heard that before.
You like that? You like how I packaged it up? You like how I worded it? Bit of a
I
wordsmith
did.
over here.
And math. You included that in there. Some average, all that. So
It's all full circle, man.
a
It's
lot
all
of
everything's numbers.
um
Honestly, everything's numbers. I'm not trying to be Neo in the Matrix here, but everything is numbers. It's fucking crazy.
except letters, but I mean, yeah.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I always wondered about that. Like, again, hanging around with like people who are successful in creative endeavors. I'm like, oh, I wonder how much of that is just like seeing somebody nearby you succeed, and then just that giving you the will to kind of try it out. Like, oh yeah, let me, if they can do it, then I at least know the path. You know?
I think it was Damon Wayans Jr. who said that a lot of
I'm
people think
sorry. Who? Repeat that.
Damon Wayans Jr.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's like a lot of people would think that just because you're like related to somebody or like, you know, like let's say you're someone's brother, that that's an automatic in. And yeah, it might get you in the door,
Sure.
but like you still have to like show and prove with your talent
Absolutely.
and everything, right? So like if Chris Rock's my brother, he may not be able to make me a great stand-up, but
Yeah.
he may be able to teach me the work ethic that it takes
Sure.
to get better, the right clubs and the right managers. He might get
Yeah.
me into that. So inevitably success is gonna come
Sure.
if you're following it, right? And I think there's a quote where it's like, um, work ethic will get you where talent won't, or
Mm.
no, I think it's like when talent doesn't work hard, Oh, now I'm fucking it up. I was flying too high off of that. Some of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I know what you're trying to say. It's like discipline takes over where luck ends or something like that, or
Yeah,
yeah,
like
something along those lines.
sometimes you'd rather take someone who works hard than someone who's talented,
Yeah,
because the talented person might just assume that everything's gonna come to them, but the other
yeah.
person who has like half of the talent but like twice the work ethic, they're gonna make it, right?
Okay, so quick story about that was again going back to Chris Rock was the late great Patrice O'Neill. He
Mhm.
said he wanted Patrice to have a to be the dad in Everybody Hates Chris,
Oh,
which was then played by Terry Crews. And Chris Rock said that like he's like, oh, it was his for the taking. He just had to show up and show the effort and show that he wanted it. And he
interesting.
came in, he was like, I got to do this kind of thing. And
Mhm.
whereas
Should
Terry,
yeah.
yeah, whereas Terry and like Patrice O'Neill, inevitably, undeniably one of the greatest comedians ever,
Hilarious,
and
but I could so
hilarious.
see him just coming in and shitting on everybody,
Yeah,
right? So in those
and
situations, you kind of have to be likable too.
you
It's
do.
not just
And
about time.
then after him came in Terry Crews, who was just like, "Hey, let's do this. I love all of you. Let's get this going." And they're like, "Yeah, like, clearly this guy, because his energy was there. He had that right
Because you got
energy
to
that they
remember, like
want.
you
They
and
wanted.
I just watching the TV show, we
Yeah,
just see like the 4 or 5 actors on the screen, and that's it.
yeah.
But to anyone who knows the industry, there's 50 people behind the camera.
Behind the scenes, sure.
There's, the pages are just like the assistants that are running and getting like
Yeah,
scripts or like telling you
producers and then
everything.
industry people like the higher ups and all that. Everybody wants their say. Everybody wants their contribution and the whole deal.
Everybody wants their dick
And
rubbed.
then that too,
Not on some Weinstein shit, but more on just some like ego boost shit. You know
some
what
Louis C.K. shit.
I mean?
Um,
Yeah. But for
um,
real, right? And like everybody wants to, like you said, everyone wants to feel heard, everyone wants to feel
yeah,
important. Hey, this is show business, right? Like
yeah.
we're in the shiny, the
I mean,
glimmery.
it comes down to like, it also applies to like everyday life too. If you work in a bank and you're trying to hire somebody, you're going to want to hire the person who you're like, yeah, this person kind of gets along with everybody here,
Right.
versus somebody who may be better at that job
Man,
potentially,
if we're
but
gonna be spending 40, 50 hours a week together, I want to be
yeah,
around somebody that's pleasant and not someone who's gonna like,
that's likable. Yes.
yeah.
Because we all
Because then
have,
eventually you're gonna get good at the job if you have a good like personality, or if you're like optimistic, or if you're willing to
I mean,
learn.
you got to be competent. That's,
100%.
you got
Just
to be
because you're a nice
at least
person.
competent. Yeah. But once you have that list of like competent people, then it comes down to like, wait, who's kind of more likable? Because like, yeah, you're spending all that time with them. You're like, come on, man, this
I
person's
think we
going to be
talked
shitty
about
for
this
no
before.
reason.
It's like a lot of comics talk about this, and it's mostly like me listening to
Airplane food.
podcasts where they're headliners,
Yeah.
but they're talking to each other and they're like, "Oh, I've taken comics on the road that I actually like hanging out with,
Yeah.
just because I like hanging out with them, even though there was like better comics, but
Yeah.
they were dicks, or they were like awkward, like they
Sure.
were, they they just like gave me a weird vibe. So I'd rather take the
Yeah.
person that makes me feel like not comfortable. You don't have to like constantly worry about everyone being comfortable, but if people enjoy being around you, they're more likely to be like, oh yeah, hey, I thought of you for this, or you know what I mean? But
Definitely.
and the other thing is, if you fake it, like a lot of people try to fake it, they know when to like
Yeah.
turn it on and be like Mr. Sociable in the setting. But then when it's like a few minutes in, you can tell they're getting drained, they're draining
Yeah.
themselves, and then like the thing falls off, and then it's like, oh, you
Yeah.
were faking it the whole time, right? Like I have some friends who like they know exactly what to say in that setting.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not who they really are.
That's not what, yeah.
They're just saying that because that's the situation they're in, and they kind of want to be accepted by this, like the situation, which is cool. Like, hey, like I'm pretty sure I have like social anxiety or some shit, some form of that. So
Sure.
I've been there. I understand it, and I'm a comic, so like trying to win over a room is basically what we do all the time, right? So
Yeah.
I try not
Yeah.
to judge too much, but it's just like that's not you.
I mean, you can't help but judge either. You touched on something really interesting there. Actually, you said people get drained. So a friend of mine is he codes. He's a programmer. He knows how to do code. He knows how to do code. That's how much I fucking know about tech. He's a programmer and he can
The
code
ones and zeros. That's as much as
exactly.
I know.
he can code all day long. He's great with creating AI shit. I don't know how that works, but he told me we went to a thing together for work, and we had to be sociable for about an hour and a half, 2 hours or something. And he's like, dude, I feel exhausted after that. He's
Done.
like, I can program for like a whole day, and it's nothing, but that drained me. And I
For
was like,
sure.
oh, that's nothing. Like for me, that was nothing.
Extroverted.
I'm like, I could do this shit for hours and hours, not a problem. The other shit I can't do at all. So it's interesting where people's um
You get like
brains work.
hyper focused though at times. Like are there times when like that's all you want to do for like the next 6 hours? All you want to do is just like lock in. Or
Yeah.
is that just ADHD that I'm talking about, where you're like hyper focused on one topic and like that's all you want to? Do you know what I mean? 'Cause I feel like you get like that
What
sometimes with
topic
stuff.
though?
Just depends. Like it's something that you're really into. Like
Oh, okay. So different tasks or something, you mean?
yeah, like I
Definitely.
can get into like painting, and that's
Yeah.
not so. I'm a very social person, and I think like I get my battery charged off of
Other
meeting
people, sure.
people. But if you tell me, hey, you got to paint this whole house tomorrow, and you have to do it, I'm like, fuck that, I'm not gonna do that shit.
Yeah.
But if like all of a sudden the mood strikes, I could
Yeah.
paint the entire house in like 2 days, no problem.
So
It's weird.
that's a great Canadian man, Jordan Peterson. He talks about that. He was talking about being in the
Shout out to
zone.
Jordan Peterson. Come on the podcast, man. Come on. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, come on, Peterson. He talks about being in the zone, and he's like, once you're in the zone, then you're hyper focused, and you're able to do a lot of these things that otherwise seem tedious or difficult or whatever.
Mhm.
And shit, I can't remember the rest of what he touched on, but the gist of it was like, optimally, you want to position yourself, you want to discipline yourself to be able to get into that zone as quickly as possible and stay in it as long as possible when you're trying to accomplish something, whether it's creative or whether it's laborious or whatever it is. Like that's what you want to try to do
I'm a
ideally.
huge fan. I just love his videos. Like I just love like I've watched a bunch of his lectures.
Yeah.
So something along those lines where he's talking about like, okay, if you feel unproductive, like just make a list or make a schedule for the day, but don't make it so stringent and like difficult that you know you're not going to do it, because chances are you're not going to do it. But he's like, I think it's kind of what you're talking on. It kind of touches on that, where he's like,
Yeah.
the first 3 or 4 things, make them super easy. Like get up,
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
your bed, brush your teeth.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever it is.
Sure, like simple things that you're going to do, and then check them off as you're doing them. So that way you have this sense of accomplishment, like, oh, I did it. I did this. Like, all right, well, that was easy. What's next? And then whatever the next thing is, it's going to seem easier because you already accomplished a bunch of things. And then,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
I try to
it's a way to
adopt
trick your own mind. And I think a lot
100%.
of discipline is kind of that, like tricking your own mind in the beginning
that, for sure.
until you're just like, oh, I could just do this. It's not a thing.
You do have to trick your mind at times, man. Like,
Yeah.
do you ever, whenever you're working out, like if you're trying to do super high reps, like let's say it's 15, I'll
Yeah.
count to 5 3 times. Because like if you get to like 8 or 9, you mentally get tired.
Yeah.
But if you count to 5 and then reset 1, if you say 1 in your head, or if you're counting out loud, when you say 1, all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is only my first one. Like it's weird like that, right? There's a chemical release, the feel good hormone when you get shit done.
Serotonin, or dopamine.
Dopamine, I think, is the feel good hormone.
Dopamine is task related, serotonin is a positive.
Interesting. Well, it's one of those. So that's the other thing. If you're getting this shit done, like you're giving yourself this boost of this like feel good hormone when you're getting things done, right? Like you check your first 4 or 5 things off your list in the first 5 minutes. You're like, oh fuck, like, oh, this feels great. Now your brain's addicted to that feeling, and now you're looking for other things to get out of the way, right? I like
Show
it.
you how to do this, son.
Sick. Yes, I'm gonna have to do a Jay-Z counter. How many Jay-Z references is you gonna make each week?
So many. Oh, you know what's funny? I just sent this to somebody else. I got a message on Instagram today by a random person. I don't know him. I don't know this gentleman, and it was just a
Want to be friends?
huh.
Yeah, it was like, those Russian bots where it's like the
Russian bots. No, it wasn't that. It was just a gentleman, and he sent me a Jay-Z lyric. That was it. Randomly sent me a Jay-Z lyric, and I'm like, oh, okay. I think we're on the same room. We were in the same room on Clubhouse or something, and that's where I'm like, wait, what is this?
Creeping you through your profile, found your IG, and sent you a DM.
Yeah. And it was a Jay-Z lyric, so I'm guessing he heard me talking about that or whatever. But it was still funny. I was like, that's That's the part of my life where I'm at right now. Randomly getting Jay-Z lyrics sent to me.
I mean, I like it.
How
I would love random lyrics in my DMs, but more so from friends who know me, not just some random. That's kind of creepy, but
all
hey,
right, everybody heard it. Send him random lyrics in his DMs.
I don't know. Say it again.
Oh, I turned to the camera and I was like, everybody heard it. Send him random lyrics in his DMs.
I'm not gonna read half that shit unless I know you. Then I'll open it. But I'm sorry, no. Well, I mean, no, I'm not gonna lie. No, I probably won't open it if I don't know you. What was the lyric, man?
Oh, it was from the song Brooklyn Go Hard. Lucky me, luckily they never get me when I bring the nets. I'm the Black Branch Ricky from Brooklyn Corners. Burning branches is sticky. Spread love, Biggie, Brooklyn, hippie. Yeah.
Brooklyn Go Hard. Is
Great
that the
song.
one? Is that with Lil Wayne?
Mm-mm. That's Hello Brooklyn.
Hello Brooklyn off of the American.
Actually, that was Hello Brooklyn 2.0. Hello Brooklyn
was
was
it.
a Lil Wayne song, but yeah.
Oh, I thought okay, interesting. But that's off of the American Gangster album, those track that you just talked about.
The one I talked about was on
Carter Four.
it wasn't on one of his albums. It was just like a track he released. I think it was on a soundtrack to like another.
You on what? Sorry.
Oh, it was it was on a soundtrack to like a movie or something.
Give me a track, a Jay-Z track that best described today, like the day you just had. You don't got to go too deep into it, but yeah, try to think of a song that could have been like the soundtrack to today.
That's a good question.
And I'm gonna try to do the same. And while we're both kind of thinking about that, I really want to listen to Magna Carta.
Magna Carta.
My apologies. No R's in this podcast.
No R's. No hard R's.
No hard R's. Definitely want to listen to that again. I want to give it another chance. And then the Carter 4 was such a great album. Such a great album.
Good album. Yeah.
And those two albums I'm definitely playing. It's because it's Friday, so you gotta have like a nice playlist ready, my opinion. Just to start the day so you can have like a good day. And then the track that I was talking to you about before we even started the podcast is Daft Punk, One More Time. And you better the second I get into the whip tomorrow morning, I'm gonna be pounding that.
Playing that.
And it's like a snowstorm, but I'm still gonna have like the windows down, heat up, circling the parking lot of Burger King. Come out, hop out the shower, feeling fresher than a motherfucker.
Sure. Yeah.
Ludacris. That's a Ludacris line. Underrated rapper. Very, very impressive.
Is he underrated though? I mean, he's pretty well rated. People regard him as like one of the better rappers.
No, I think they give him like that, like pop act, not pop act, sorry, but like he's a popular artist, but I don't think people really like dissect the bars or like talk about the albums. Maybe it's just my
I don't know, man. I think he gets the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
I don't think people look at him as pop as much as you might be thinking. Like he was pretty influential in the South. Maybe since he like became more of an actor.
Maybe we forget about his accolades in the music industry because of the acting.
Sure, that happens.
But even back then, I used to feel like people thought he was just like the rah and just like had like, you know, the Get Back. And like Word of Mouth. What was the one track off Word of Mouth? Great album.
Move, bitch. That was a.
Yeah. That like that rah, but like if you dissect,
he was great with that. He was great with that. But and then he had the bars to back that up with something substantial versus it just being like a shallow kind of a track.
Right. Even within those like bangers, he would have like some like pretty witty line.
Because he was him. Okay, so Ludacris, Tip, Jeezy, of course the other greats from, but they're all kind of in the same generation of like rappers, I think. And the ones that came after them, they started to. It was a lot more like a lot more party shit, less substance.
Crunk.
Which nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes you want to just hear some shit without dissecting it or whatever. But,
you know what I mean? If all of your music is like very like thought provoking or like, you know, mid level, like not too hype, but not obviously not like depressed, but like right here music all the time. What the fuck are you gonna do when like you hop in the whip or
Yeah.
like you have a limo and it has auxiliary and no Wi-Fi because you didn't like pay your data plan. So now you got to go off all the music that you downloaded and not that you can't just stream shit or like and you
It was
gotta,
very specific.
and everyone's looking over at you like, hey man, you gonna play something? I'm like, oh, I didn't bring my freaking lightning to 9 millimeter adapter, so I'm so sorry. You know what I mean?
I've no idea what you're talking about. I have all of my music on my phone with me always. I don't stream shit. I have my shit on with me.
Damn, bro, how much gigabits you got on your phone there?
1 terabyte.
On your phone? Walking around with an external hard drive, dog?
I just got the 1 terabyte iPhone because I'm like I want to have everything. I want to have everything on me all the time.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I'm getting looks
And
from
about
I got her the 124 megabyte friggin' and it came with a little dinky memory card that I accidentally
Yeah.
snapped in half because I couldn't.
I remember those days, man. I started off with like a 8 gig iPod or like a 16 gig or whatever it was.
Still got my Nano, bro.
Yeah.
It still slams.
Good
And it has to be
times.
plugged in it all the time. Otherwise it
Dude,
dies. So it's in the whip and then the
when
auxiliary.
I got my iPod, it had the it was the first one that could have photos and videos on it because it was a
Oh,
colored
snap.
screen. That
Yeah.
was the first time I got one because them shits were expensive too.
Fucking
When
expensive.
I mean, they stayed expensive, but you know what I mean.
I bought the first iPod mini back, I think like 05.
Yeah,
It was like $400, bro.
yeah, shit was expensive, dude.
Imagine I bought $400 worth of Apple stock back then.
That'd be nice. That would be nice. Um,
I could have the terabyte.
I used to watch movies on that thing. I remember that, like that little ass screen was about this big. Watching
yeah.
movies on that was,
Games, I think it was basically a phone.
you know,
Just a phone, right? I almost bought one,
Pretty
but I
much
was like,
was.
why don't I just buy the iPhone? And then I never bought either because I'm a cheap motherfucker. I did all my spending in the early 2000s, all right? And then 2008 and 2009 came around and I still kept spending. But after that, when I incurred all that credit card debt, I still kept spending, but I just couldn't really talk about it out loud.
Did you hear Russell Peters on the Flagrant 2 podcast recently?
Oh, yes. Loved it.
Yeah. One of the things he mentioned that really stuck out to me was he's like, I try to live like a rapper. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, don't do that. How many rappers have you seen go broke, dude? Why the fuck would you do that ever?
I think you and I study the industry on top of the art, and I don't think a lot of people do that. And I think when I consume enough information that we're constantly hearing about it, because you got to think Russell Peters made it about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Back when it was cool to, basically he was doing what we were doing, but we were in high school.
Yeah.
Basically, I was blowing my money back then, but I didn't have as much as he did to blow.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But now we've been like listening to podcasts and we've been watching the documentaries on rappers that went broke or athletes who blew it all in 1 year kind of thing, right? And they always break it down. Like so many people talk about it. Like you give a 19-year-old a check who just signed a contract to the Lakers and he thinks he has $2 million in his pocket. He's going to go and spend like $1 million in the first week.
Yeah.
Not realizing
you don't even think about taxes, which is nuts.
Right. And before I've even made it, before I've even like opened my small businesses, before I've done any of that, I've already had that information. So I'm always thinking, whatever I make, save half. Whatever I make, save half. That was like the golden rule that I was taught like from the beginning. Right.
I was not.
No.
I would no. My family is horrible with money, and shit. I got that same those same values. It wasn't until I was like an adult and making some decent money till I was like, all right, I can't, because you also get sick of buying shit. You're like, I don't want to keep buying these little things. Like I don't give a fuck about this anymore. I'd like to buy something substantial.
For sure.
Yeah.
For me, it's weird now. Now I'm just buying all this random stuff for the kid. My wife's like, yo, don't just like pass on your addictions to consumerism on shit. I didn't even think of that. I'll be like at the Nike store and like just looking for something to buy just for the sake of buying it. She's like, don't like stop. It's okay. He doesn't care. You care. He doesn't care.
Well,
right.
You're also Punjabi. We gotta flex a little bit.
I mean,
we gotta flex a little bit.
Yeah, man. I had a, I fucked up the Kanye line.
Talks about Punjabi people.
No, No, I think it all falls down. And I can't even go to the jewelry store. No, I can't even go to the grocery store without some ones that's cleaning a shirt with a team. But he's like, I spent something just to be
Did that help?
close enough. Just to be like, you ain't up on this.
Yeah. Be like, you ain't up on this. Yeah. That was a great song. That was a great album.
Hell yeah, great album. Go back to the Jay-Z track of the day. For me, it was Big Pimpin', only because I was missing the UGK like era and vibe. I love like the National Players Anthem. Great, just the beat itself, fantastic. And then I love Black Republicans because Nas is, I think Nas to me is what Jay is to you, which is great that we're on the same podcast because then we're gonna have our capitalism versus, I don't know if I'd call it socialism, but we're gonna have those discussions once in a while.
Sure.
And we can debate Nas and Jay. And I'm a Jay-Z fan. The only reason I'm a Nas fan is because of Jay. Because I went down that whole Jay-Z, like just like history, and like I went through all the discs and went like back when you could buy CDs or back when it made sense to buy CDs.
Yeah, I hear you. I did the same thing. I used to love buying CDs. I used to love going through like a discography of an artist.
Yeah.
And just like exploring their music in the different times of their lives.
Man.
That was so dope. And then I didn't know what to expect because now you just stream everything. Like now it's all available right here.
Ooh, quick.
It's not the same.
Yeah, because then so I used to go to this one place. It was called The Beat Goes On. It's still open, and they would sell used records, movies, everything, right? So if you want to like sell your stuff, you could sell it to them too. It's basically like a consignment, but it's strictly music, media, I would say.
Sure.
Not too many video games. It's mostly movies or albums. So I get paid every other week, and I think a disc was like only like $6.99, unless it was like a really like coveted album, or if it was a brand new release, then it would be like $20, right? But just like that, like you said, like going through the discography of an artist.
Yeah.
So then like I would do my research, and like let's say it was Jay, and I think I started with the Black album because that was like that
really?
time. With Jay, that's what I started with. That was the first album that I bought of his.
Mm-hmm.
And then every other week I'd go back and just buy
another album.
So the collection grew like that. And I think that would be what I would probably show today, but I just don't want to get up. But I got this like old ass box. I think it's like an old camera, a box that a camera came in, and that's just full of discs. It's like the cases are all gone. I don't know, but I kept the discs. So I got like a stack of CDs.
Sure.
And in the new spot, I think I am going to create like a one room that is strictly like a listening room. So it's going to have like that one comfortable leather chair, old man.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? A 2.1 setup. I just need that old man shit. So every like Sunday afternoon at like 4:30 p.m., Papa, what's going on? Shh, youngin. Let me tell you about the 90s hip hop era. Like, why do you keep talking like that? And only on Sundays at 4:30. But for real, like I have like those like history lessons. Like when the kids are working on like the geography reports, they're listening to some like old school shit. Got to find the edited versions. But even if they're not edited, I mean, they're gonna hear worse at school, right?
Yeah, they'll hear some shit.
For sure.
Like
I think that was part of the appeal when I was younger. It was like, oh, this is like bad. Like I didn't swear for the longest time. Like my cousins would laugh at me because I just couldn't do it.
Really? That's weird.
I couldn't get myself to swear. My parents were very strict, bro.
Okay, that makes sense.
Very strict.
You mean swearing in Punjabi or in English?
Anything and everything. We couldn't say dumb, stupid, idiot.
Really?
That was bad. Like if my phone heard dumb, heard stupid, like she would lose it.
Okay, so my parents were yelling at each other and calling each other things. Yeah. Oh yeah, I heard it all. Like my family is full of drunks. So I had seen everything. I had heard everything by the time I was like 5 years old. And I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. But it's never boring. It's scary sometimes.
In the house?
Yeah.
This is horrible. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud.
It's part of the whole thing.
Buddy, like the amount of speakers in this house, and I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
Like I just can't stop. And the amount of like power tools, I think everyone should like here's my theory, and I think a lot of people should adopt this, and I'm going to say it out loud here. I'm going to get up on my podium. That was a partial Kennedy accent. I don't know what I'm doing right now.
That was not even close.
Getting late, and I'm getting wonky. Anyway, So instead of paying a professional to do a certain job around the house, take that same
Yeah.
amount of money and buy the proper tool and learn how to do it.
Figure it
You may
out.
fuck up. You most likely will fuck it up, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But learn how to use that tool, because that same amount of money that you would have spent on one person coming into your house and doing that one thing, you didn't
Yeah.
learn it. It's the whole like teach a man to fish or feed a man to fish mentality. And like because of that, I got a wicked like not tool collection, but I got a pretty solid tool, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm saying right now. I got a good selection of tools, and some
Yeah.
of them are very specific to specific jobs.
Yeah.
But because of that, I've learned how to use them, and like I don't know, man, I like it. And I think all of us
Dude,
should do that kind of shit. Like keep learning, trying to learn new skills.
Yeah, definitely. So, totally agree with you. Figure it out. Watch YouTube, watch YouTube tutorials. Watch people doing it on YouTube. Whatever it is you're looking for, you'll find somebody doing it, and all you gotta do is just copy them. You'll be able to do it. It's not that hard.
A leaky faucet would have cost like $100 just to buy the new faucet or replace it, and that's what I normally would have done. But like you said, I hit up YouTube, and it was like this like little like I forget what they call it.
Washer.
Underneath the tap, so you pop the tap, you take the little thing out, and it's like it's a ceramic something. I forget what it's called.
Sure, pipe, whatever
casing that actually cracked.
Yeah.
So I pop that out. I walk into the hardware store, and the guy sees it and recognizes it just from like the color of the cap, and hands me the other one, the replacement. I'm like, oh, how much is this? He's like, oh, don't worry about it. So
that's it. Okay, so that's the other thing is, if you go to like a mom and pop hardware store, they are super fucking helpful and really cool people. They'll let you know exactly what it is, how to do it, and all that shit.
They'll even talk.
Really
to you, right? They'll talk you through everything. Yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, so I went from spending $100, or I could have spent, $200 if I had to buy it and then pay a plumber $100 just to show up to install it.
Yeah.
But because back in the day, I've taken the time to take things apart and kind of put it together. I'm a little comfortable doing it, and I've done plumbing here and there. I'm not by any means a professional plumber, but
not to mention it feels great actually having done it yourself. You're like, oh, I got this shit done, and it was all me.
And imagine
that feels great.
House, and like it's your buddy, and you've done it before, so now you can pass on that confidence, right? I was talking about a good friend of mine, Jesse. He's a co-host of the Delines Den podcast, another podcast that I do, and he was saying that me and him are very similar in that sense. Where sometimes midway through the project, we're like, something's missing, whatever. I'll get back to it. But like, if you have the right person next to you, like, no, fuck that, let's go do it right now.
Do it, yeah.
Get it done, right? So I think
what's funny is once you first try to do some shit, if you've never done it, wait a minute. Okay. If you've never done anything with any kind of like home improvement shit before, first time you try to do it, you're gonna end up going to the hardware store like 3 times in that day. 100%. Over and over and over again, which is funny too, because then you're like, you can almost like measure how much more knowledgeable you are about something each time you go back to.
Right.
Because then you're like, oh, it's this thing right here, or whatever it is. One thing I recommend is like measuring everything and taking a picture and showing it to them. Be like, here it is. This is what it is. And they're like, all right.
Well, try to take it with you if you can.
Yeah. If you can, yeah. Take it with you.
I show them like greasy, like grimy parts and stuff, and they can tell from a distance. They don't have to like look at it.
Yeah.
I know like people has the thing, like if you need the exact nut or bolt, they have them there, so you can kind of screw them in. And it's like, okay, this is M8 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I was putting a gazebo together, and it didn't come with any hardware at all. And like rather than going through the process,
it was just a tree. They're like, figure it out.
Calling the thing on the bottom of the whatever that shit's called, the instructions, right? And you got like the parts, and then I had to wait for it to be mailed to me and all that. And I think I needed the canopy that day because I obviously did the installation last minute. I just ran to Home Depot, but I made sure to take the thing with me. Worked out nice. And then you ever had like you need that like one
shout outs to Home Depot.
Shout outs to Home Depot. I went to this one place called Lee Valley, and they had it's all about like precision tools. So another example, I could have paid I think $20 to get the battery changed in my watch.
Yeah.
Like about how much it cost. I think it was like 17 or maybe 23, somewhere in that. And then I just went online and kind of like looked at how to do it. I never wanted to fuck up my watch or anything, but I was like, how hard could it really be?
Let's try it out. Yeah.
Then it's like you just buy this precision tool. The tool is like $15 and batteries are like $7. So now I pay the upfront cost, but now I have this wicked precision tool. And I'll be changing my battery. I'll be saving money in the long run. I got, like,
And you learn something, and you can. It's a good skill. It's a good skill to have. And then
you're just training that brain, right? Like, you're just training
that's
that.
the other thing. It takes a little bit of something for you to be like, nah, fuck it, I'm gonna do it myself. It
Mhm.
takes a little bit of something because I got friends who are like, how did you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I just looked it up, figured it out. I did it.
Okay.
What I was gonna say when you mentioned tools initially was I gotta stop myself from buying dumbass tools all the time
Oh, yeah.
on like Amazon, other shit. I see like there's like they're like portable automatic saw, and I'm like, I don't need this right now, but I might need to cut into something. And I'm like, no, don't do it unless you need it. Don't, like I don't have enough room, but
That's like table saw for me. I've always wanted a table saw for like long
Yeah.
straight cuts. And don't ever buy the portable. Make sure you buy the powered.
a powered one. Yeah, you gotta buy a powered one. It then like portable it's okay for little things, but it has to be powered.
You would think
Cable
it'll
and
like
all that.
melt through like laminate flooring or something like that, but no, no, don't do it. I haven't even bought the table saw yet, but I learned that from someone else who's like, no, don't do it. I have a chop saw, right? Like the miter saw, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I was just using that because the pieces weren't that big. Yeah, so something like that, man. Like I never
I gotta.
put down laminate.
I've stopped myself from buying a power washer like 20 times. I'm like,
Ooh.
I need to power wash something, and I'm like, no. What you want to do is I don't need to use it for anything. I'm like, you just want to play with it. That's all you want to do. And I'm like, fuck, I really want one.
Man,
And like every now and then, Amazon's like, here's one for $6,000 that's on sale for like 200. I'm like, I gotta buy it. I'm like, no.
Don't you love those targeted ads? Like I swear to God, I'll look at something on my laptop and then I go to my phone because the Matrix knows that I'm most eager to buy shit when I'm on my phone or like on Instagram.
Sure.
Like all this shit's just popping up. Like whatever you and I talked about today is gonna pop up on our phones tomorrow, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I love how this episode has turned into a home improvement or tool time. With
It really has, yeah.
You have no idea how excited I got about a power washer, bro. Remember back in the day, you had that little thing that you could like connect to your hose and you could put soap in the soapy water for your car.
You remember back in the day when you used to use your thumb as a power washer on the hose? Yeah.
At the angle just right.
Yeah.
And then back in the day, when that first thing came out, like the 7.
Yeah.
Oh, what is your
twisty
favorite
things?
setting? What kind of setting man are you when it comes to your garden hose nozzle spray?
It depends on what I'm doing.
Just in general, what's your favorite go-to? This is gonna speak a lot about our personalities, man. It's like, it's like those random ads. It's like, find out which Harry Potter character you are.
Sure. Okay. First of all, those were like, all of those were phishing websites. They were trying to get information from you.
100%.
Every single one of those.
You know how
people need to know that shit.
How many of my nudes have been leaked online, bro? And it's all because of those fucking things. Like, find out what character you are from everyone's friends, but I'm Gunther apparently.
So my favorite setting is the wide spray, but not the circular wide spray. Not that it sprays everywhere, but just in a line wide. Line. You know what I mean?
Flat. Fuck yeah. Yeah, because it still has the pressure to it, but you get like surface.
It's either that or the really, really precise one that if you hold against your hand, it hurts like a motherfucker. Yeah.
Jetstream. Well, you want the pressure washer, so I would assume you want the Jetstream.
Jetstream. This took a wild turn into like home improvement shit, but it's fun to talk about that too.
The wide one is called cone, and then but the one you're talking about is flat, and then Jetstream. Wicked. I love shower. Shower's sick, and mist always reminds me of the vegetable.
Mist is a pussy ass setting. All right.
Oh, take it easy.
Let's
Jeez.
Come on.
Don't judge a man by his nozzle setting. If you let me finish, geez.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
It reminds me of the vegetable section at the grocery store.
Now, it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
It used to be timed, and I remember like I'd wait for that shit, and like I'd be with my parents, and I'd see it go off, so I'd run over to the vegetable section, and I'd come back to my mom and dad, and we'd be like 3 aisles in. I'd be like, "Oh, I bet it's gonna go off again." So I'd rip it.
You know what's funny? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Please finish.
No, that's it. Just
okay. What's funny is this is the first episode of this pod. We did not introduce ourselves
by calling me a pussy for liking the mist setting.
I didn't say you were a pussy. I said that's a pussy ass setting.
Shower setting was my favorite setting.
Shower's good. Mist is, come on, don't do that.
Flat though. Flat is nice. Now I'm thinking about like watering the lawn. No, you don't gotta apologize. I'm playing. It's all jokes, man. We know this, but Flat is wicked for like watering the grass. So
Yeah.
before my kid was born, for some reason I got obsessed with the lawn in the backyard. It just like
Yeah.
automatically happens when you become a dad.
That
man.
happens, dude. No, I think it happens with age. I ordered a new vacuum the other day. I was fucking hyped. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a new vacuum. And I'm like, the fuck am I doing? I don't give a shit. Like I wouldn't have given a shit, but now I do.
The tool
And then
is
as soon as I got it, I was like, oh my God, I gotta use it. And it was
yes.
like,
You know how long I've been
who the fuck am I?
wicked vacuum? Like I've been talking about this for so long. I want like a dope ass vacuum because we
Yeah.
got carpet in the bedrooms, and I'm like, yo, I want like a nice. I want like a
RGB. You wanted to sing. You wanted to have like fucking Bluetooth with songs and shit. Yeah. How do you feel about Roombas?
I fuck with it. I will definitely get one if I have all hardwood flooring.
Yeah.
I think I'll just use it for the main floor for it's
They,
like
they got like wet Roombas now too.
that. I
like-
think. I mean, whatever.
As like a mop or whatever.
There's like the cheap knockoffs, and I'm sure those like suck. You know, those like novelty shit you buy.
Yeah.
You think it's gonna be good. It's like a 4-in-1. It's a screwdriver, a flashlight, a this and that, and you use it once. And it's like, oh, this is shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
It breaks apart.
It specializes on one thing. And if you're gonna go hard, right? So don't buy like the
Yeah.
entry level. You got to go like the i9, which is
Yeah.
like $100.
Well, the greatest thing about that is you can just research everything nowadays, and it'll kind of come up like which one you should buy, and it kind of base your decisions on that a little bit. Okay, so as I don't know if you heard me, but I said we're like an hour long in this, and we did not introduce ourselves.
Oh shit! This always happens. We go in and we just like lose track of time. Yeah. All right, man. Go ahead, man. You can start.
I'm Yudi.
said each other's names,
That's
you
it. That's it. Yudi. Hello. Nice to meet you, everybody.
I'm hurt. let me roll the R here. Had deep. Ooh, hello. Oh my. Muy caliente.
That's not okay.
I'm sorry. I do. Hadip Singh, or I guess Hadip Singh's the stage name, but Deep
H Dizzy. I don't know. Is
Hmm.
that
I used to call myself so many random things. I was like, yo, just say your name, dude. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know, man. Ad-libbing here, right? Like the AKAs. I fucking love the AKAs.
AKAs are nice.
I'm Silky Singh, bro, because that shot is so smooth.
Oh,
OV.
there's okay. So we were talking about Dead Presidents too. I mentioned that earlier. The Jay-Z song, right? There's a line in there.
By the way, that's going to be on my Friday playlist.
There's a line in there where he says, "My dough flipped like Taekwon, Jay-Z the icon, baby. You like Dom? Maybe this boy will change your life, huh?" Oh no, wait. What is it? Maybe this crystals will change your life, huh? And then every time I used to rap that song, I used to always say, "My dough flipped like Taekwon, Yudi the icon, baby. You like Dom?" And then Yudi the icon sort of became my moniker for everything, everywhere. And then a few people called me that every now and again. As a kid, it was flattering, but yeah.
Like it. It's funny where nicknames get their
like the origin stories of nicknames. Yeah.
But it's funny how many of them are self-created, but that's apparently a no-no. But I think I've given myself every nickname I've ever had in my life.
Okay, so one bit I was trying to figure out as well is how awful fucking nicknames stick in Punjab. Like there's one of my uncle's friends, his name is Billa Sani. So they literally call him Billa is cat, male cat. They call him that, and that's not his name. That's not that dude's name. He doesn't like to be called that. RIP. He passed away, but he was like my grandma called him that, and he's like, please don't call me that. And it's just funny how that shit sticks. My uncle's nickname is Kala, which just means black guy.
Right.
And because he's dark, or not even black, but like dark, and that shit stuck. Somehow it stuck, or like Mota or whatever, like fat. And it's weird how those fucking names stick, and then that's who you are for the rest of your life. You can't get out of that, and everybody just knows you as that, which is so wild.
This is why I think the Punjabis fuck with like the Mexicans so much, because it's such a similar thing in that, right? Where like that when you're a kid, it sticks, man.
It sticks. My a friend of mine was Mexican. Friend of mine is still Mexican. That didn't change, but she's light skinned.
Mexican American.
Mexican American.
Born
in Mexico, and she's like.
Finish your story and then we'll get back to something because go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
She's light skinned, and they like her family just called her Huera or Huerita, which just means like light skinned girl or like white girl or something. Right. And that was just her like thing. She's like, I fucking hate that, because she wanted to identify as a part of like her family, and they kept kind of shitting on her by calling her that.
You feel isolated almost. Like that's like
You
that's
do.
like one thing. And when it's superficial, it's even
Yeah.
more shitty because now they
Yeah.
haven't really connected to you. It's just something they see on the outside. And then
Yeah.
sometimes the brain will force you to kind of like embrace it or like enter that stereotype. I think it's called like social labeling theory. Remember that in sociology, where you get described as something,
Psychology. I don't know.
you get described as something when you're a kid, like, oh, that's the
Yeah.
bad kid.
Yeah.
So there's like a group of 4 or 5 kids, and like the one kid becomes known as the bad kid just because he has like maybe some behavior issues or whatever. Oh, he's the bad one. That sticks with the kid. Now the kid tells himself he's the bad one, and they almost like gravitate towards that, and then they start acting that because they feel like that's the narrative. They like what's that word? Self-prophesizing theory? No,
Yeah.
is that it?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, where you've already kind of like predestined that because you've accepted it.
Yeah.
And that can work with so many things. We could talk about like The Secret, and like if you tell yourself something and you believe it to be true, it will happen because your actions will actually move in that direction. You'll actually become.
I
So
believe in that.
when it's a nickname, and
I
it's
mean,
like,
not in The Secret, but I believe in like wanting something and then telling yourself you want it to keep yourself focused and manifesting it, not just like,
I was gonna say manifesting, and I know
Yeah.
it sucks because it gets such like a hokey pokey,
yeah,
like almost like a mystic, or like people want to make fun
yeah,
of it. But
yeah.
when you break it down to it, like your mind is so powerful that if you actually are focused on something and you constantly think about it, that it happens.
So a way to test that for everybody, a practical way to test that is, and it's worked for me a couple times in the past, is once you make a decision, any decision, like I'm sure it happened to you too. Once you made a decision about comedy,
Yep.
comedic things just sort of people who are into that, or like things that are related to comedy kind of started appearing to you. At least they did to me. Like the when you make a decision in your life, like those you start, I mean, maybe it's just like you're noticing it. Like if you buy a new car, then you start seeing that car everywhere. But it's also like if you decide on something, people who can
I
help
think
you, like,
I know what you're saying. Just for me, I've always been like the funny kid, even from a young age.
Sure.
We're talking about like the labeling.
But I'm
I was
talking about like
known
the
as the
day you
funny one.
decided, like, oh, you know what, I want to pursue stand up. Then I'm sure like some things started changing, and you.
Not to be like, not to sound like that kid or like that guy, but I honestly been a stand-up my entire life. It's
Sure.
just eventually I finally decided to take it on stage.
Mhm.
But like I was always doing impressions in the house. I was always like imitating my mom to my dad, or my dad to my mom.
Yeah.
Or making like the family laugh at family parties and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was the funny kid in the family, to the point where like I almost like, I think like that was my label, and then I like fit that, like I became that. But I genuinely love it. And then when you're saying like noticing funny shit, like I've always noticed my funny friends or funny people. I think you and I talked about this, where if we have a similar sense of humor, I'm going to gravitate to you more. So my entire crew of friends are fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Like everyone's
I
funny.
love funny people.
Oh, it's the best.
Absolutely love. Yeah.
But maybe it's just us noticing every little funny thing with that person. And
It might
like
be that.
you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe because now we're actually focused on that. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, there's never been a time when I like switched to the comedy.
Yeah.
Like I was always just finding shit funny in my life, everyday life, all the time. Anyway,
Maybe that was a bad example, but
but I get what you're saying. Just for that one specific.
like if you're like, I want to be a lawyer, and then all of a sudden law shit kind of starts appearing, and people who can, like, you know what I mean? That I mean,
Okay,
in
no, I
that
get
kind
it.
of a, yeah.
Firm believer, man. Like a lot of things that have finally started to come into play or like are coming together for me, it's because I've always thought about it. Like I've been
Yeah.
obsessed with podcasting for the longest time.
Same
And
here.
It's now that
I've been wanting to do it for like 7-8 years, and I just like did not. And I kept thinking about it, this and this and this,
so
and like,
similar
yeah,
in that regard, where we just kind of like perfectionism, or we want everything to be just so
Yeah.
before we start doing it. I'm sure that's pretty much it, though. I think we're just putting it too much on a pedestal.
that
Now,
might be it. Yeah.
fire, bro. Just keep fucking firing.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Rat.
So
I don't know.
going back to your Mexican friend, similar to that. When you order stuff at a restaurant, or when you're talking about something particular, do you add the accent to what you're talking about? So, example, if you're gonna get tortillas from the grocery store, do you tell your friend that you're gonna get some tortillas?
I talked to him in Spanish.
You talked. Oh, flex.
Yeah.
Flex on him.
I can speak a little bit of Spanish, and then because
A little. Muy.
Yeah.
Más is
Poquito. Muy is a lot. Poquito. A little bit.
Poquito.
Um,
Relax.
being Punjabi, I don't know if you have this or if you've ever even tried to speak Spanish, but I don't have an accent when I speak Spanish. I've been told.
You don't have an accent.
I do not have an accent when I'm speaking Spanish.
So meaning you speak it like the way they would speak it?
I speak it fluently. I speak very, very little Spanish. I mean, I know very little of it, so I can't I can't hold anything above a superficial conversation with somebody. But
Hola, amigo,
when I
¿cómo
do
estás?
speak that, yeah, when I do speak that, like I've been told, they're like, oh, you don't have an accent at all. And they're like, are you, and people think have confused me with being either Mexican or you know, of
I think that's
Spanish
why they
origin.
to do imitations, man, because I feel like I get away with
Yeah.
people assume I'm able to speak better than I can, or I have a better understanding of a language than I do because I can imitate the accent, especially when it
I
comes
can
to Spanish or Punjabi, because I can do the accent better.
I can ask somebody, do you speak German in German? And that's all the German I know. So
Nice.
I've had somebody of like,
so on
do you
point, they're like, oh, this person
Yeah.
knows.
yeah, I was like, oh, do you speak German? And they're like, oh yeah, and then they'll go off in German. I'm like, I don't know anything beyond that. That's it. That's the limit of my German. They're like, why would you ask me that then in German? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I used to get hammered on resorts and like start speaking Spanish, and then like you said, it'd just be like that first line.
Yeah.
And then they'd go in and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, bro, I don't speak Spanish. And like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, what's your problem? Ruined
So
15 minutes of my life.
seconds. Me and a couple of friends were hammered in Vegas in our younger years.
That's a great way to start a story right there. I'm
right.
intrigued.
One of my friends got us kicked out of the casino. One of our friends just got lost. I don't know where he went. We didn't find him till the next morning.
So much. Go on.
And then I'm the dad in that situation always. I'm like, all right, I got to make sure everybody's okay. I got to, because I can't, I've never excused alcohol for anything. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I was drunk. I'm like, that I don't believe in that because of the thing I mentioned earlier about like having a family full of drunks. So I'm like, I don't think that's not a valid excuse in my mind. So
that's you know, I'm not to get too deep, but that's a lot of hurt right there where you haven't forgiven those that wronged you. And it's the anger.
Psychology. I'm sorry. Please continue.
That's like a Mark Norman comedy.
I'm Kevin Hart. Yeah.
I fucking love him so much.
He's great.
But you know what I mean, though? Just I just want to plant that seed for you now, and hopefully you kind of think about that a week from now, and you kind of like dissect that. And
I never considered that. That's a great way to think about it too. Yeah.
So whoever gave you that pain, bro, try to forgive them, just so that you can forgive yourself a little bit.
Ooh.
Holding on to that anger is not going to do you any good. But that being said, no, alcohol shouldn't be an excuse.
No.
Coming from an alcoholic myself, and my wife's here, who has told me time and time again, always be responsible for your actions.
Absolutely.
There's consequences. Right?
I mean, I'm gonna put an asterisk there and say I've also don't hold other people like to that standard. I'm like, hey, you say whatever you want to. Like if somebody's like, I was drunk, my bad.
Only?
And I'm saying only for myself.
Oh, I thought you were saying like about your friends, like the way they acted that night. Alcohol is not an excuse. I don't care if you got
no. I'm saying it for myself. I'm like, if I'll never use that as an excuse for myself and be like, oh, my bad, it's because of that. I'm like, no. I'm still responsible for my actions. So
I can respect that. 100%. Yeah. I think I'm trying
somebody else.
Get to that
and then people have different tolerances, different mindsets, and all that. I can't possibly go into somebody's head and know how they think. 100%. I can only try to imagine that. So we were hammered, and we were a friend of mine. He got us kicked out of a casino because he got drunk and he was on the ground. Acquaintance, I shouldn't say friend. He was on the ground, and they're like, sir, you gotta go. And then he started like hitting on the security guard lady. Excellent. And she's like, all right, you really gotta go. So they kicked us out, and then that was the whole thing. We got kicked out, and then we're walking the strip trying to get a taxi back to our
I thought you were gonna say pussy. Go on, sorry.
That we had no chance of. But but we're trying to get a taxi to go back. One thing I didn't know that I didn't learn that night was you can't call a taxi anywhere. You can only get get it at a hotel. So you
Oh,
can't
I
just
didn't
be
know
like
that.
walking. Yeah, you can't just be walking the strip and be like taxi. They're like, no, you can only get one at a hotel.
Them's the rules, huh?
Yeah. So
So it's you
and
know what it is? It's priority for the hotel guests.
yeah.
That's what
Plus,
they
they
do.
don't want taxis stopping at everywhere.
Yeah, it
They're
strip's
like,
busy enough as it is, right? Makes
yeah.
sense. Where were you?
And
What hotel or what casino did you get kicked out of? Huge
I
fan of
don't
Vegas.
even know. I want to I want to say the Rio, but that doesn't make sense because that's Rio's not. I think it was in the middle of the strip. I don't remember. I can't remember what it was because Vegas is all connected. So one casino to the next to the next. You just walk through the thing and then you don't even know where you are anymore.
For sure, for sure.
So
Yeah.
we get kicked
I'm not
out.
even
We're
a
trying to.
gambler and I love Vegas, man.
Same here. I don't gamble much. I always go with like a set amount of money. I'm like I'm gonna lose $200,
Right.
but that's it. I'm not gonna.
For me, I'd rather take that $200 and go to the Laugh Factory and go to like a really nice restaurant and maybe
Sure.
rent a motorcycle and fucking hit the like cruise through the desert. Like I'd rather spend that money on something I can actually enjoy rather than
Yeah.
being all tense and like blood pressure through the fucking roof and like worried about this. Like, yeah, you might hit it and you might win the jackpot.
Now you're gonna lose it. Whoever it is, you're gonna lose it.
You're gonna
But
lose it.
you're gonna lose it. But it's not about that. It is fun for that second. You're like, holy shit, what's gonna happen?
100%. So I mean, yeah,
Um,
I'll put like $50 in the slot machine and chill for a bit. But me and my wife have no interest in gambling.
Yeah.
The only time we ever like actually sit down to gamble is to get some free drinks.
Sure. But
Like,
it's
one
part
time
of the I think it's part of the experience. You gotta gamble a little bit.
We spent $8, dude.
Yeah.
A grand one time we went for a week, and our grand total combined for the both of us, combined total gambled and lost was $8. But in that time, I got a Dos Equis. Yeah, I said Dos Equis, and she got I think a gin and tonic or a gin.
I'm sorry.
Nice callback.
Yeah.
Comedy. And then
Comedy.
she got a gin, and I figured there's no way you could have got 2 of those drinks at any bar for $8. So we came out on top, baby. Fuck you, Vegas. We won.
All right.
And I got all my shit off Groupon. Yeah, bitches. I'm fucking.
That's hey, you got to do what you got to do. That's I mean, save whatever money you can. There's no reason to give Vegas more of your money.
Buddy,
But I do.
Budget is like one of my favorite things in the world, especially when I
But the-
travel. I love balling.
The fun thing is like doing other shit too. I agree. It's not just like the gambling is just like
hotels
a
are
part of it.
resort. Like hit the
Hotels are
pool.
nice. Yeah, definitely.
Weather's nice.
Hotels, food, get some nice food. A bunch of
Fucking
places have
great food.
amazing. Yeah.
So
so
you know
we
what's
were
I actually told
out
my
of
wife that I'm like one of the responsible ones in my crew,
sure.
and she could not believe it. She's like, "There's no fucking way." And
No, I
like,
can see that. I can totally see that.
have you seen it now? Do you believe it now? But you know what it is though? I've cut out the least responsible people in my crew, and I've surrounded myself with the more like.
You gotta cut the people out who are gonna get you in trouble.
Exactly.
I'm like, if you're in trouble, it's cool. I'm there for you, but you can't get everybody in trouble. That's not cool. Like that idiot who got us kicked out of the hotel. He
Right.
was being dumb and he was drunk, but I'm like, I'm not gonna blame you for that, man. It happens, and it's like it's not a big deal. I mean, got kicked out of the casino, not the hotel. It wasn't. They didn't ask us to leave. It was just the casino. They're like, yeah, sir, you got to leave.
So you're walking
Like
on the
that.
strip,
That's
you're
fine.
trying to get a taxi, but you had no idea that taxis can only be taken from a casino. So
Yes,
what do you-
indeed. So I'm holding my friend who is drunk and the one who got us kicked out, and then on the other side is my another friend of mine, and then our fourth friend gone. I don't know where the fuck he is. We're walking. I start blacking out.
Oh no.
I black out, and then I regain consciousness, and I'm like 50 feet ahead. I was like, holy shit! I just
Oh,
time
no.
traveled. And
According to Always Sunny in Philadelphia, that's called a brownout, where you haven't blacked out yet. But
it
you
only
can-
happens to Indian people.
the whole everything has a brownish tinge to it, so you haven't
Yeah.
blacked out yet, but you can still kind of go on.
Um,
So you're mid brownout.
I'm mid brown out, and then I regain consciousness. I'm still holding on to my friends, still cool.
Yeah.
We're
Still
still
in the
good.
zone.
It was in the summer. I'm wearing shorts and sandals and t-shirt.
I'm right in the middle of winter. I
This
just
is
shoveled
also
down the
nighttime
ice.
though. It's nighttime.
Yeah.
That's not important, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, I brown out again and I regain consciousness, and I'm leaned against the wall and just hurling my guts
Oh.
out.
What were we drinking that
and
night? I know you're
Everything.
whiskey, man.
Yeah, but this is when I was a kid, so everything, whatever
Oh,
we could get,
whoa.
and those giant things of whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
The
hurling,
Rio ones?
and one thing I was thinking, this is the comedic brain, and I was like, man, I wish I wasn't wearing sandals right now. I really, I really wish I wasn't wearing fucking sandals right now.
Oh,
Then to make that moment better, right, the wall I'm against, next to it is a hedge, one of those like hedge thingies that are tall as a wall. The wall hedges, you know what I mean? Like they.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what hotel this could be. It might be, could be at Paris.
Oh, this is right outside Paris. Now
Okay.
we're both right outside Paris,
Yeah,
and there's like that wall of bushes that you can't see through.
And are you walking towards the Venetian, or are you going back down towards like New York?
No, Venetian, definitely Venetian. We're heading that way.
That way. Okay,
Whichever way that is.
Stayed at the Rio.
Wherever.
You got kicked out of the Aria, which is on the other side of the.
I think
stratosphere.
maybe. I don't think it was the Aria. Aria is too new and too nice. This is like an old. This was an older one.
I love maps, though, so I'm just trying to like visually like. I think I have a
kind of visualize exactly where it is.
Oh yeah, I already got you though. Like I know exactly where you are. I know that hedge.
You know where I'm at.
Yeah.
The hedge outside of Paris is a wall.
Yeah.
And inside of that, they have a Paris themed restaurant.
Right.
Right inside of the restaurant is where I'm throwing up.
Oh, you missed the hedge.
Onto my. No, I wasn't planning on throwing up in the hedge, just in the corner somewhere, right?
I
just didn't know. Yeah, but I didn't know where. Oh, also got to preface this by saying I fucking hate throwing up. I will do whatever I can not to throw up. So I'm throwing up on my sandals and my feet, and then collectively about 15 people on the other side of the hedge just go ew, and I'm like, oh, I just ruined everybody's dinner.
They were wearing sandals too. Oh, they were.
No. They were just eating dinner, and now this idiot on the other side of the hedge is just hurling, and they can hear it, and it's loud and it's obnoxious, and they were just like,
Vegas though, man. Like,
that's Vegas, yeah.
You're gonna shit and piss on the road. It is what it is.
I don't know about all of that, but I definitely threw up.
I mean, like you're gonna, get shit faced and piss.
Get shit faced, definitely. So
I ad-libbed, or I forgot to fill in the blanks there.
So that happened, and then we continue our journey. We're walking, and
oh, he's still going. Did you
it's
feel
not over yet
after that throw up though?
Oh, infinitely better. And I had consciousness. Now I wasn't browning out.
Yeah.
I got some of that evil out of my system, and now I see an alleyway to between casinos or whatever, and there was a taxi going through there, turning in there, and I ran up to him. I was like, wait, and I told my friends, I was like, look, you guys all look like a bunch of losers. Get away from me so I can go get a taxi and then come over, because I look respectable. Yeah.
And you're still in the zone. I love it. Like,
yeah,
fuck you guys. You guys look like shit. I was like, just I'm like fucking up that whole hedge back there.
So I'm like, stand back. Let me get this right. So I ran into the taxi.
You think you got it all figured out too? Go ahead.
Absolutely. But this next part will prove that I did not. Oh, no. I got a taxi, and I was like, hey, could you? Oh, okay. So I run up to the taxi, and I was like, Señor, Señor, Hotel Plaza y Casino, por favor. And he's like, all right, sure. And it was some Indian dude in the taxi.
I love it.
And then I called my friends over. They got in, and he's like, yeah.
Friends Indian?
No, just me. Only me. One of my friends black. The other one, very light skinned Hispanic dude, and the other one was a dark skinned Hispanic dude. But he was gone. We don't know where the fuck he was. He showed up like the next morning.
The driver's like, this confused motherfucker.
Yeah, and the whole time I'm talking to him in Spanish. I was like, yeah, I was like, lo siento, por favor, Hotel Plaza y Casino. He's like, all right, dude, yeah, that's we got it.
Oh man, I bet you he speaks Spanish though. You don't live in the States.
I'm sure he spoke a little bit, being there, like he knew, but he also knew that we were drunk. I'm sure on some level he was laughing, like,
he's seen it all, bro.
Yeah.
That's another reason why, like, I think we fuck with the Mexicans. Yes, yeah. So much is because we end up being like the working class together. So we're mingling at those jobs, the taxi drivers,
it's also hard to hate people of your own skin color.
That too. You're gonna find connections, right?
Very brown. So
outside the states, all the Latin American countries hate each other. They shit on each other. But when you're here, it's like, hey, let's make the best of it. You speak a little bit.
But you know
similar
what?
like-
That's because they're neighbors. You always hate your neighbors.
Yeah. I forget who was talking about this. Like, you always look for something to hate, and it's usually the person closest to you, right? Like,
Yeah. So
Yeah, you'll hate-
India and Pakistan, they hate each other.
yeah. Well, that's orchestrated. Let's not get into that. Let's not get too deep into that one.
Yeah,
'cause-
but it's neighbor. Like I mean, I'm not even talking about like a visceral hatred, but just like cricket. Whenever that comes up, it's like, "Ooh, we got you," and like, yeah,
that's
whatever.
rivalry shit. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
get it. 100%. I agree. But yeah, for sure. So oh yeah, you because that was your whole Spanish speaking thing. Because I was going to say, so let's say you're gonna order something in a different like if you
Oh,
go
I'm
to,
sorry.
like-
Just to finish up really quick. We got to the Hotel Plaza and casino, and my friend who got us kicked out of the other casino, Hotel Plaza. Hotel Plaza was off the strip somewhere in downtown because
Mhm,
we're all broke kids, so we're there,
of course.
My friend who got us kicked out, he got out of the taxi, dropped his credit card and his wallet everywhere. I then picked all of that shit up, and I was like, "Yo, you're paying for this taxi ride." And he's like, "Roar." But yeah, that was his. So he, yeah, I ended
was
up
him
paying with his
making
credit
up.
card.
That was him making up for fucking up the night.
Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, here you go. So you get to
And
pay
you
for this."
still saved him by picking his shit up because that
all
shit
of his
is
shit up, his
gone.
phone, his fucking credit cards, his wallet, all of it.
The other thing about me being like the responsible one, I think, is when I'm not around wifey, I think I'm a little more like plugged in because I'm like, oh, I'm on my own, and then I'm like looking
Yeah.
out for like my mans and them. But then when
Sure.
I'm with wifey, I think I kind of turn that part of my brain off.
Yeah, because
I
you
know
know
she-
she got it.
Yeah, she's like the responsible one. I think I am still the
Sure.
responsible one, but according to
Sure,
her, she's like, yo, it's like, yo, you're a fucking clown. I'm like, what?
Well, so you also need. I think it's important to have someone in your life where you can be that around, where you're like, hey, I'm gonna kind of just fuck
We
around,
offset
and
each other.
I'm gonna leave all the important shit to you.
Exactly. What comes like with directions, because she's like, when I'm by myself, I feel like I can drive anywhere, go anywhere. But when you're in the car, I feel like I'm like, you shut certain things off of your brain, I guess, or like everyone plays their role, right? One's hot.
Yeah, you
one's
kind of let
cold.
somebody else think for you a little bit. You're like, hey, you do
gotta
this.
offset each other a little bit.
Offset. I have to do that. I don't listen
No,
to
fuck
Offset's
yeah, after all
music.
day.
That I have to do for some reason for the last 6 years,
No?
5 years.
Okay, let's do not top 5, but give me like your top 3 recommended albums.
It's first of all, it's gonna be hip hop. Shit, I don't know when the new Nas's Magic just came out, right? But he released Gout
Gosh, that was in
2.
January.
He released Gout 2 last year.
King's disease. Oh, you call it gout? It's King's disease, right?
Yeah, King's disease is
Or
gout.
Yeah,
so
right.
I call it Gout.
I
Gout
got
2.
you. No, I'm picking up what you're putting down, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate that. That came out last year, right?
King's disease was a wicked album. Yeah.
Wait,
fuck.
but 2 came out last year. When did 1 come out? Was it the year before that?
One was I think 2019. I don't think
Was it really?
I don't think he dropped anything in 2020. Yeah, let's find out.
Because I know he released them 3 albums back to back, and
Yo, he's been killing it lately, man.
he's
Like,
fucking killing it. And
dude,
then
what do we owe this pleasure, man? Like, this is fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
and he's on
Um,
it top of his game too. The dude is
That's
like
the thing. It's not like
Yeah.
these are like I think
Whatever
something happened-
albums.
I feel like
Yeah.
somebody criticized him at some point, like, oh, you fell
Yeah.
off or some shit, and it really hurt him. And now
Yeah.
he's coming back with a vengeance, man.
and he's changing the conversation about who's better between him and Hove, I think, at this moment,
Mm.
because like Jay-Z hasn't released anything for the past however long.
Or you think he wants to solidify his
I think he might want to, like, hey, look, we're at this part of our lives, right? This age.
I
And
don't
so
care about that anymore, though. You really think that's part of it? Or is it just
Oh,
like GOAT
I
status?
think that's inherent in hip hop. You're not gonna ever stop competing.
That's kind of like anything,
lyrically.
though, right? And I won't say just hip hop. Like when it comes to, like, I was just literally just talking about this to my buddy. I'm a few years older than like this younger group of cousins. They're all like in their oh, fuck, I
Late
don't know how old they-
30s, 40s, maybe.
They're younger, so
They're younger.
yeah. When this story takes place, they're like in their early 20s, and I think I want to say like 28, maybe 29. So like, some parts of your brain start to kind of like, oh, I'm getting older now, I'm getting slower, especially when it comes to basketball. Like you have to like be like physically and mentally like
Yeah.
there, right? And I forget what happened, but like I started feeling like the respect was starting to wither too, where like there was a time when I was like, physically more demanding over them. So they kind of like respected that. And I had like the experience and I was good, but now they were hitting their peak and I was
Sure.
kind of feeling over mine. And I forget what happened, but like one person just said something and like it hit me so hard. Normally you trash talk, everyone talks
Of
shit all
course.
the time. I
Yeah.
think it was like just the like lack of respect and the way he said it. He didn't mean anything by it. It's just part of the game. But like that one time it just like snapped and like I went off for
Mm.
that one game. And then like when that happened, I kind of like even like jokingly kind of like ushered him off of the court because he lost, right?
Yeah.
Normally I would say something back. I'm usually like clearly a big talker, but when he said that one thing, I even went quiet. Like I saw like the peripherals got bigger. It was like that zone that Jordan
That
Peterson talks about
zone.
where you just
Yep.
click in. I don't know what happened, but it was like that ego thing. So
Yeah.
I maybe that's what not somebody said something to Nas and like he just like maybe that whole like maybe the Jay-Z thing or maybe it's
I
just
mean,
in
he's
general.
been in conversation of like GOAT forever, right? But at least
Okay.
like the last 20 something years, he's been in that conversation. So I
Maybe
think
someone left
he's
him
just
off his top 5 and it was someone who he respected and he's like, wait, what?
maybe.
Uh
I'd like to think he's above that. Personally, I'd like to think he's above that, but
he
I
is
think
God
he
status, yeah. Remember we talked about the
but I
five
think
gods. You don't even
I
mention
definitely know he's in the competition. Like he's not one of those dudes who's like, "Oh, I'm like I'll show you how much better I am or how
Mhm.
good I am still." Or maybe he just got inspired. It could
How
just be that
insulted were
too.
you when Kodak Black wanted to do a versus? How insulted were you when Kodak Black wanted to do a versus with Jay? Like what?
Who?
Exactly. And
Fuck out of here, son.
this is two like old heads clearly talking because Kodak Black is hot, but or even
I
Future.
guess.
And
Is
it's
he?
like what are we even doing here?
You
And
know
I
what?
mean,
I think people want to put
track.
themselves in that conversation.
Ugh.
That's what it is. It's like, and because all of a sudden, then people are talking about that because they're like, "Well, I could take him." Like that idiot who said he was better than. He's like, "I'm better than Tupac." It's like, no, no.
Who said this? Was it
um,
Lil Xan
it was
or young Lil
Little
Yachty?
Yachty or something.
Lil
Yeah,
Yachty? No, I think
yeah.
what he said was that nobody listens to Biggie or Pac. But what he was trying to say was like him growing up, like his group of friends weren't listening to that music, so they can't compare themselves to it. So like a lot of
That's
reporters,
fair.
who is your top 5? How are you going to leave Biggie off your top 5? I never listened to Biggie. I didn't grow up listening to Biggie. I don't even know who Biggie is.
Sure.
Not everyone goes back and does their research, even though like as artists, you and I talk about this, like if you're going to do an art form, it's your duty to kind of go back and like, learn from like the forefathers or like
At least be aware. At least be
understand the
aware of
art.
what made them so prominent. Even if you don't, even if their shit's like dated, or even if they're like you don't feel it personally, like if you want to be a part of it. But that goes back to something Hope said, where he's like, he was talking about like new rappers. He's like, sometimes people come in and they don't have the love for the game. They just want
Mhm.
they're trying to get their check. And
Right.
he's like, that's cool because you get your check, then you move on. He's
Right.
like, it is what it is. But he's like, if you really love it, then it's your job to push the envelope forward.
So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe you and I saying that is because we're fans first, and now we're trying to make like something out of stand up. But to
Mm,
some people, it's like, oh no, this is something I'm kind of good at. I'm just gonna go do it. I'm
sure.
gonna get paid, and I'm out. And then
Yeah.
hopefully, like Lil Dicky, where he's good at rapping, but then his end goal was the sitcom,
Sure.
or he wanted to be a comedic actor, and then he got to his end goal. Who
Yeah.
are we to say?
Well, that
We might feel a
goes-
certain way because we love that art form, and it's like, oh, you're disrespecting.
that might be it too.
it like this,
Yeah.
right? Don't.
I was gonna say that kind of goes back to the Ludacris thing because the whole
I
like
don't think
he
his
might have.
end goal was to be an actor, though. I think he was.
I
just
don't
gonna
think so,
be good
but
at
because
rapping.
he ended up being that, and he made a shitload more money on that, he started focusing more on that. People are like, "Oh, is this kind of what you wanted? Like, you weren't
Right.
about the game then?"
I've never heard that about him though. But Ludaversal was an
Okay,
album
so I'm sorry.
well after like the acting success, and that
Yeah.
was a great album. Great album.
Yeah, that was.
I still have that in rotation a little bit.
He's the first rapper to get both Nas and Hove on a track together.
What track was that?
I Do It for Hip Hop.
Oh yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm adding these all to my
Started out in the park. We used to do it to shit, I can't remember the verse now. We used to do it to impress the
What album was that?
Marks or something. I don't remember which album it was, but yeah, he had both of them on a track first.
That's
Shout out,
wicked.
Hove was like, shout out to Grandmaster Flash, the Kaz, and even Jazz bum ass, which is great.
Is he-
Jazzo. Shout out to
Yeah,
Jazzo.
Did he have an issue with Jazzo? I thought that was like his mentor, or was it like a joke?
That was his mentor. They had a group together called the Originators. The Originator, nothing good at Jazzo, finish the shit. And then Jazzo got that again. It's that competition thing. People like, oh man, aren't you glad that Hove is taking off now? He's like, yeah, but I'm good too, and and that ego kind of got in the way, and he I think he left Rockefeller. He might have said some things, and it became an issue. And Jay-Z just got bigger and bigger and bigger, but they squashed it, and Jay-Z signed him recently, a couple of years ago.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's always it's a very tricky situation when the teacher, when the
apprentice, becomes a teacher, and
it's a very awkward moment. Not an awkward moment, but it's a delicate situation.
It's a delicate situation. That's a good way to put it.
Just to go back, you were right. The King's Disease, or Gout 1, as you would say, was released in 2020.
Hey.
August 21st, 2020. We never really got to our 2021 albums. That's fine. We don't really got to do it. But King's Disease 2, I think, would have... Oh, it was exactly August. So exactly 1 year after.
1 year, damn.
2021. But then... So that means Magic came out super early. Within a year.
Was it really? Holy shit.
Well, he released it. August 2021 is King's Disease 2. Right.
And Magic was what, December or January? When was that?
Christmas Eve 2021.
Christmas Eve.
It's a couple months after.
Dude.
That's what I'm saying.
It's fucking going hard.
That's wicked. I didn't know it came out. That's sick. Christmas Eve is my son's birthday. So it's a little gift to me.
Happy birthday to the little dude.
Cheers, man. 13 months now. Fucking growing so fast, man. Getting big too.
Yeah.
Thank you for adding a few of these tracks to my Friday afternoon playlist. Huge thing is that the gyms are finally open, so now I get to like put on good music, put on the headphones, zone out, shoot around for a little bit. That's therapy to me, dude. Like I say it all the time. Like I just get out of my head. You know what I mean? And it's like that moving the body.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like a rhythm to it. It's almost like a dance, but it's me by myself. It's focused on one task, ball and net.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like, oh man, I feel great afterwards. And I've had some conversations with you, and I'm like, this guy must think I'm on something, but it's just like a lot of caffeine from the pre-workout.
Yeah.
And, that feel good from the gym, right?
Absolutely. Oh, that high is great. That like, and getting your endorphins running and all that.
That Ludacris album is Theater of the Mind.
Theater of the Mind. That's it. I do it for hip hop. Yeah.
I'm gonna go through Ludacris's discography again, like very soon. And like, this is one thing that I do love about having a little bit of more free time at being at home all the time with my son, is that I get to like revisit these things that I somehow convinced myself I don't have time for anymore.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But now it's like, all right, he's taking a nap. I got an hour to kill. I'll just fold laundry.
How many albums does he have? Are you on Ludacris's page?
Luda. Let's do a over under. Let's do just a quick guess. You and me. Let's see who's closer.
How many albums?
Yeah.
6.
6? I'm gonna say 12. All right, let's go here.
12. It's not 12.
He's got a lot of albums, dude. All right.
I know he's got a lot of singles, but I don't know about albums, man.
8 studio albums.
8.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
You were closer.
I was closer. Math.
2 compilation albums. Math. This guy, I love it. Back for the First Time, released in 2000. Word of Mouth. That was my introduction to Ludacris.
That was
2001. Chicken and Beer, great album. 2003. Red Light District is an album that I can put on and I can rap the entire album start to finish.
And you really?
Because Word of Mouth was when I was introduced to him, but my cousin had that CD, so I could only borrow it or rip it on my computer. But at the time, I didn't even have the computer that could burn discs. It was strictly one that could read them. So I could only listen it to on my computer. But the Red Light District, I bought brand new for $20 from the actual record store. Yeah. And then because I loved it so much, I went back and bought Chicken and Beer and Word of Mouth from that used spot afterwards. I didn't even listen to Release Therapy. That's crazy. Theater of the Mind.
Release Therapy was good. Really good. It's him being a bit more introspective.
Man, he's so good. I'm such a huge fan. Um, wow, he had Disturbing the Peace as a label from the beginning, so he's
Did he
been
really?
about my business, my business. Battle of the Sexes.
Business. Yeah, that one. I don't remember that one. I mean, I like heard of it, but it was.
Yeah, I remember the album cover. I think I saw it, but it looked too much like a Much Dance compilation album just from the cover.
Mm,
Much Dance is like a like MTV, but the Canadian version, I guess.
Oh, okay.
You did not react.
I did not. I'm like,
How
what?
about Big Shiny Tunes? Do you remember that shit?
No. What?
Okay,
No.
these must be Canadian compilation albums. Yeah, so there would be like Much Dance, and it'd be like a compilation album of that year. It was like all like the greatest pop hits.
Oh, okay.
So it looked like that to me. I was like, what the fuck is this? Theater of the Mind, and then Ludiversal is,
Ludiversal
I had no idea that's his latest released album back
project.
in 2015. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
it's been a while, man. I mean, he's getting that Fast and Furious money that
Oh,
Ja Rule could have been getting if he hadn't been pompous.
Monica.
Yeah.
Minaj. So dumb. And he had this one compilation album with all of Disturbing the Peace.
DTP. Yeah.
What was it called? But it had Georgia on it. I remember that. And then it also had the epic Titty Boy track. Fuck, what was the album? What was the song called with Lil Wayne? Duffel Bag Boy.
Oh, of course. Now go and get your
Fire.
money, little duffel bag boy.
Fucking.
I ain't never ran from a, but I know damn sure ain't about to pick today to start running. Get money.
Cat Williams.
Cat Williams. That's exactly what I was. Yeah.
High as shit. Listen to music, crying. You don't even know why you're crying. And I ain't never ran.
Lil Wayne then came up in here and ate all your cereal. Or whatever he said. Yeah, man, that was a great special.
Now I gotta be up on that. I gotta hop on the fridge, looking at the top of the. Not gonna hop on the chair, looking at the top of the fridge, knowing good and well that I'm the one who ate the cereal. Man, damn sure it up here. Man. So, not death, bro. Death. You hit this, you're not gonna hear shit. I got things to do, man. I gotta pick up my kids from school. Oh, that's funny. Cat, man. Oh. Such an epic comedian. So funny. And he knew how to use his size because he's such a small guy. He had to.
He couldn't have not used his size. Like Kevin Hart did the same too. Like you got to point out the obvious before you can.
Yeah. Kev did it a lot more just like straight out saying it. I think Cat did it with a lot more like physical humor too, right?
Physicality,
like
yeah.
His acting was like just
dude, he was jumping all over the stage. You see him, he's drenched with sweat, like very physical comedian, and man, one of the best ever. Some of his specials are iconic.
I remember back in the day, so we would just be this TV and then the audio system that's in the basement right now. But when it comes up, I'll show you that. That'll be the next hoarding thing that I show in this room. I think I've talked about it before. It's like this old school. I've had that since like 2005. Yeah. Bro, like the amount of shit that I have that I can't throw away because it still works. Why would I throw it away if it still works?
Yeah, I'm the same way.
It's dated and it's huge. But we used to like connect a HDMI to my laptop to this TV and then audio out to that system, and we would just watch stand up, smoke weed on the living room, laughing our fucking asses off, and just watching stand up. And I remember like a bunch of Cat Williams bits of just like crying, laughing.
Oh yeah, some of his shit was just amazing. It's a great comedian.
Why is it sparking, man? Why is it sparking? They just got like it's cryptocloniclac.
Oh yeah.
They got different names for it and shit. Like, yo, I just want weed. I just want weed.
Yeah.
Man. I think I smoked way too much and I started smoking like the higher strands, and that was just too much for me. And then it just like fucked everything up. Now I can't even do any of it. Now if I do it, I'm in a whole nother world. I'm in another planet.
Yeah.
So I'm on the CBDs and that's it, dude. That's it. I rub a little hemp oil on the old knees and ankles.
Yeah.
I call it a fucking day, man. None of that. I got shit to do, bro.
Yeah. You can't talk about it. Oh, I didn't learn that. I mean, until very recently, that 2 Chainz was signed to Ludacris. That was a surprise.
Titty Boy. And he had Players Circle with him and his
the Player Circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and that other guy.
I think he's still signed to Ludacris is still making money off of
They always do. Like Jay Prince signed Drake initially,
right.
and then he went to Cash Money, Young Money, whatever, and then now he's like on Universal or whatever. But
Jay's still good.
so whoever initially like discovered you kind of still makes money off of you.
Mhm.
That's that always kind of that's yeah.
If you are that type of
If you were
band.
discovered that way, because now more and more artists are just discovered on the internet, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna make our own deals instead of going through that old
feel like-
school. Yeah,
I feel like that's what you and I are gonna do. I think we're gonna be, just doing it our own way.
yeah, like discover your own audience and yeah, do it that way.
When we blow, we're gonna blow on our own merit, and that's it. It's not gonna be because of the machine or buying into anything else or whatever.
Bert
We might-
Kreischer?
Say that again.
I said Bert Kreischer. That
Oh,
was stupid.
No, that went over my head. That was good though. Just a couple other albums. What do you think of Donda? Did you even listen to it?
I did, and was like, I didn't like the gimmick around it. That shit
Mhm.
annoys me. And Kanye has done that a couple times. Where the best one was right before Cruel Summer came out, where he had Good Fridays, where he was just
Right.
putting out a track every Friday for that summer, and then it built up anticipation of this album that was fucking amazing, one of the best compilation albums ever. I didn't like the hype around the gimmick around that, where he's like, I'm working on it. I'm gonna let the whole world listen to it while I'm doing these stadium things. I was like, what are you doing? I don't just put out the fucking music, dude. That's
I
what we,
think,
you know what I mean? Like, I understand he made his money that way, made a shitload of money that way, but I'm like, I don't want that to be a thing that artists are doing. And then there was that thing between him and Drake.
yeah.
We're like, who's gonna have a better album? And I'm like, Kanye is kind of shooting himself in the foot by doing what he's doing. And
I
because
honestly
of that, I
I
didn't
gave
fuck
both
with the album
albums
too much.
one listen, and that was it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't bother. I just stuck to King's Disease, and then
Yeah,
J. Cole's
really?
Off Season, which I felt was wicked. That's a great. The 95 South is
95 South is an amazing track.
that's like
The
my
Cameron
go-
intro.
Yeah, man. That's
Cameron
like my
intro.
first track that I play right when I'm walking into the gym. Like that's just the track I want to hear getting into the zone. Sometimes I'll play it
The
on the
one
car.
he has with Lil Baby is a great track too.
It was a great album. I think
That's a great album.
and I like how little mainstream attention he gets.
Yeah.
Because then I don't gotta
But
get
he has his hardcore fans, people who like fuck
Exactly.
with him hard.
and I
There
don't
was
gotta hear
a
the tracks on the radio all the time, and then I don't want to hear the album anymore. I
yeah.
prefer to wait. I'm like, all right, we're good.
Two things. One, there's a couple memes, hip hop memes. One was somebody was like, he made that song called "Let Nas Down," and they're like, hey, what after his like last album came out before this one, what's this one called? What's his
That
name?
Nas Down is a track that I love to play with Nas's rebuttal,
That was
and
good. Yeah.
and I play that a lot when I'm getting in the. I guess when I'm trying to like write, if I'm really trying to either write or record a
Yeah.
video, I think I just use that as kind of like take the pressure off and like. You and I are very like particular and like perfectionism and all that kind of thing.
What
think-
do you have a hype track? Like you're like, I'm listening. If I listen to this, I'm gonna I'm gonna push myself into that zone, or I'm gonna try to, or it helps to do
Yeah,
that.
get myself out of my head.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be in your head to write comedy, but I get myself out of that self-critical. Oh my god, what are people gonna think?
Sure.
That part of the brain, I try to shut that part off, and I use that
Yeah.
song a lot. Where it's like, man, just do what you do it the way you do it, right?
That
And, like,
song particularly.
a lot of times, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
For me, it's "This One's for You" by Jeezy featuring Trick Daddy and
It's for the kids.
shit, I'm blanking on the name too. The song with Jeezy and Hove, 2020 Pyrex Vision, catch a contact center next to my kitchen. Hear the 2050 hundreds of money machine clicking in my rolling, ain't taking eye ball. I've seen it all. That's it. I've seen
That's
it all.
Easy Trick Daddy and Jay.
No. Jeezy and Trick Daddy is a song called "This One's for You." It's a very vulgar song. Otherwise, I would recite it.
I just added it to my playlist. For,
Listen, check it out. It's a fucking that song gets me hyped every time. Like before I go on stage, I listen to that every time. It's one of
Wicked.
those. And then Seen It All is Jay-Z and Jeezy. Great track.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
So Alpha Donda and
Man, you make me go into like certain parts of my brain where I haven't like, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I got too used to listening to the music that I was too used to listening to,
sure.
and like you put me back into like other sections. I like it a lot, man. Like, this is gonna be a good Friday for me. Like, I'm gonna have a good solid playlist for the day. So I start off with Daft
Definitely.
Punk though. One more time.
Oh yeah, I got to listen to that song. I don't know what that was. When you said one more time, I went back to a song from high school on Twister's album.
It's such a like a
One
pop,
last
like
time.
overplayed, like club dance, like rave music, but
Sure.
it's a banger. Oh wait,
Daft Punk
see it
has
all.
some amazing songs.
Jeezy and Jay have some really nice collabs, eh? Like
Great, great, yeah, collaborations.
I think they're like kindred spirits almost. Maybe that's what it is. They have
Yeah.
like a right. They have like
Jeezy was like, okay, so Tip tried to brand himself as like the Jay-Z of the South, but I think it's Jeezy.
it's Jeezy.
Yeah, in my
Yeah,
opinion,
I
it's
believe
Jeezy.
it.
You know who else has amazing collabos is Rick Ross and Nas. Every one of their songs is a fucking banger, dude.
Yes, sir. Triple
Accidental
Beam
Murderer,
Dreams,
Triple Beam Dreams.
Murderers.
Yeah,
Ooh, I want to go down on Rick Ross.
Bag of
Like
Money that was on a compilation Maybach Music compilation album.
adding it to
Bag
the
of
list.
Money. Yeah, my bitch bad looking like a bag of money.
That's a nice Rick Ross, man. That's a
Yeah,
solid Rick Ross
it's
impression.
yeah, I'm all right with that.
Bag of Money is Wale, Rick Ross, Meek Mill, and T-Pain. Is there
Oh,
a Nas remix?
I could have sworn there was a thing with Nas on there, but
I'm gonna do like a solid just Rick Ross Nas collab playlist on the side.
I got a
just-
playlist of just their songs. I have okay, here's not a controversial take or anything, or even an original take, but Rick Ross is better on collaborations than he is on his own songs. And my number one example of that is Devil in a New Dress. Fucking killed that verse. Killed it.
Well, that beat hits so hard.
Yeah.
You could be in a good mood, but that just takes you, like it warps you into another world, eh?
It does. Yeah. That's a hell of a yeah.
Satan. But you learn a lot from Satan.
Yeah.
Rick Ross and Nas. Thank you so much. Like I just can't remember the last time I actually like took the time to like really listen to like music or like outside of what I've already been listening to. You know, like you get those suggested playlists, and then they almost become like some of them don't get changed up too much, but then you kind of like fall into that routine, so you just kind of listen to it over because it's comfortable, I guess, or like
yeah. Sometimes you just want to
it
listen.
hits on all the right
Sometimes-
notes, but like you
Sure.
gotta spark the mind a little bit sometimes.
Sometimes you want something that's familiar. That I totally understand.
Exactly.
That, so I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I have the
shit
exact.
on that.
Like, there's a very specific time that it takes for me to get to work, and the playlist is like 15 to 20, but it only takes a few songs. So like when I restart the playlist, it's back to where it was. So it almost takes me like a week to get through the playlist, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And then
Absolutely.
by the time
I'm sorry, cut you off. Did you hear that that Punjabi song Nas was featured on?
No.
Yeah, it was some dude out of like New Delhi, and Nas was like on one of his songs.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and I'm
I'll
like,
check
that's
it out.
dope as fuck. Yeah, I can't remember the name.
I do like how much hip hop has influenced the Punjabi
music. Yeah,
scene.
definitely.
Sure.
I didn't fuck with any Indian songs at all, unless they're like shit that I like my mom listened to when I was a kid. And
Mhm.
all of those are just horribly sad songs from like the 60s and 70s and shit.
Oh, true.
So that's all. So I have like 10 songs that I maybe listen to every now and again. And more recently, I'm like, let me check out some of these songs. And I was like, some of these are not bad. And yeah, they're definitely being heavily influenced by hip hop, which big fan of.
Now it's
Yeah.
huge. Like the fashion and everything. Like it bugs me a little bit because I
Yeah.
feel like it's phony.
It
Like,
is.
you know why you're rocking that?
Yeah.
Who
They
am I
don't,
to
but they
judge?
don't. And they never will. And the people who
Not
are
everyone, but
influenced
some
by
do.
that, some of them, I'm
Some
sure.
do.
I'm talking about the
'Cause, like,
fans. I'm talking about like the fans. They won't understand why the artists who they like.
Like a lot of the artists, like there's some Punjabi singers that are born in North America, so like their fashion, it makes total sense. and I can fuck with that. And then I'm sure like a lot of like, again, this is us studying the industry, and
Sure.
doesn't matter if it's acting, music, comedy, whatever. But a lot of people have stylists. So like, if you're an up and coming Punjabi singer, you have to be able to sell outside of India, of course.
Of course.
And then if you get hot outside of India, then India is gonna fuck with you even more because they want to be
Absolutely.
like everyone else outside
Yeah,
of
that's
India, right?
you mentioned that. I think that was a great fucking brilliant point that I never considered. We're like, uh, the Indian fans won't necessarily fuck with you until you've hit it elsewhere,
Right.
until you've hit it big elsewhere. And I was like, that's really interesting. But
They'll
you know
rock
what?
with you for a
Everybody,
bit,
yeah,
but they will love you if you are huge everywhere else and they see everyone else fucking with it,
yeah.
because then they can kind of hitch their wagon onto that.
I don't think
and then-
that's only India though. I think everybody wants to claim you once you kind of make it. You know what I mean? Like Russell Peters
I noticed
gets
it a
claimed by
lot with
Canada,
us. I noticed
and
it
then
a
Russell Peter
lot
gets
with
claimed
us.
by
Sorry again. Russell Peters gets claimed.
Russell
by
Peter
Canada?
gets claimed by India, and then he gets claimed by Canada.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He's so generically Indian because he's not
Yeah.
specifically one particular that we can all fuck with him.
Yeah.
Right. Like I have no problem claiming him, even though he's not Punjabi, but that would never mattered for me anyway. Just the
Yeah.
fact that he was Indian, I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome that there's an Indian stand-up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was the guy. He was the dude when we were kids. Like, holy fuck! There's
Smash hit. Fucking
yeah.
wicked.
For me, it was like him and George Lopez.
Fucking love George Lopez, dude.
George Lopez is amazing.
Still love him.
The song is called
Now
"This
it's Oh My
Thing of
God
Ours."
High, his podcast. Oh my God, hi.
Oh no, I haven't listened to it. I need to check that out.
Pretty jokes.
I'm
It's
sure.
a different George Lopez than what you're used to.
I would imagine like he's not integrated into the LA scene as much as he should be for some reason, but he also fucks with like Cedric and Cedric the Entertainer and like DL Hughley. He's touring with them, so he's
Yeah.
on like another level. But
Right.
I wish he was more around like the scene here. That I
Mhm.
would love for him to be here. Really quickly, the song I was thinking of was "This Thing of Ours," which was Maybach Music Group featuring Nas. It was on their like compilation album. And then the last thing, I want to say this for the next time, but
Yeah,
as
we're
a-
running long.
we've been going on for a while, so let's end it after this.
Yeah.
Say our piece after this, but think of albums you listen to. I don't know if you had any like people who guided you musically when you were like as a kid,
Oh yeah, for
or
sure.
if you just So think of albums you listen to impress somebody else. Like you mentioned the Ludacris thing that you can recite off the top of your head. So
so right off the bat, 100% the intro to the Red Light District, because it's just like a very, very simple beat, bum bum
Yeah.
bum 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 bum, but he goes in, and
Yeah.
it's a very aggressive like cadence to the whole thing,
yeah.
and I slam it. I don't know if I would like say I'd use that to impress anybody, but if you're in the car with me, I'm going in.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're a fan of hip hop, you're gonna be like, okay, he's rocking. And then the other one would definitely have to be like Kanye's Run This Town with Jay and Rihanna,
Yeah.
when he like his verse. If
Yeah.
we're playing like beer pong or some shit, I'm such a frat guy. I'm such a fucking frat boy. I hate it, but if we're
There's absolutely
playing
nothing
beer
wrong
pong-
with that.
if we're playing beer pong and I really want to hype up my team,
Yeah.
I'm playing that. And the second Kanye's verse, I'm in. I'm locked in. I'm hitting it.
Yeah. Good verse.
Those are the two that come to mind.
But I meant more like as a kid. So if you had any like big brother figures in your life who might
Yeah,
have
the older
introduced you to,
cousin.
did
Older
he
cousin
introduce you to
who-
music?
Very much so. Yeah.
Okay. So you know when like he mentions something and then you go home and you're like, I want to listen to all of this and I'm gonna come back to him with all its knowledge. It usually happens when we're like teenagers and shit. So- Yeah.
With him, he liked what he liked, and there was no changing that. He was just very, very particular.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some
Uh,
dudes who are definitely like that.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I without even realizing it, do a lot of things that copy him just because that was the big brother,
Sure.
the big
You're
homie.
influenced. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But no, because we we had things that we both loved, but then
Yeah.
I went my own way with music, and he liked what he liked.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I think those are he set his camp early,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
was good. And then
There's okay. I don't know the dude. I don't no disrespect to him, but I've known people like that who akin to that, where they're like almost purists, where they're like, oh, it's like, oh, that's what you listen to. You shouldn't listen to that. You should listen to this thing that nobody's ever heard of because these guys originated this shit that you're listening to. I'm like, yeah, all right, but I'm allowed to like the shit that I like too. Like, it's not a fucking,
he never really downplayed it. It's just
yeah,
so there's other groups, other people in the group that if I was like, yo, this is a wicked track or this is a good
Yeah,
album, listen to this. Oh, cool. Yeah, like it was a
Check it
library
out.
where we would switch
Sure.
albums and whatnot. He's like, nah, I'm good. Like you can
Okay.
borrow my shit, no problem.
respects to that too. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes, yeah.
And he would put us on though. Like sometimes we'd be like, yo, what the fuck was that? Like Pusha T. I give him credit for
Pusha T.
introduced me to
The
Clips.
story of Adidas or whatever that shit was. I was on my way back from New York last time I went there for a business thing, work thing. On the way back, that song dropped, and I had like the Wi-Fi on the plane, and I listened to that shit 20 times. I was like, "This is the greatest fucking thing I ever heard."
Oh, he went in.
Went in.
And arguably,
Oh, he destroyed him.
yeah, that's one of the few
Yeah,
battles
that was an L. That was an L that dude took.
but he's just kind of like tiptoed out of it, eh? Like we never really
He did.
brought it up after that. Something
never-
happened
yeah.
behind the scenes,
Something happened.
apparently-
Yeah,
and you brought up Jay Prince earlier, and
Jay
he had
Prince.
something to do with it for sure.
I'm
He
sure.
probably didn't want his golden goose to lose its stock value. You know what I mean? Like he's like,
Yeah.
yo, hold on, it's done. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make sure no one ever talks about it ever again
Mm.
because they know what's up, and
Yeah.
you just don't rebuttal or nothing because you're gonna
Tick,
lose
tick,
anyway.
tick. The man is 666. I was like, oh, it was fucking good. Pusha T killed it.
Yo, not I'm gonna say underrated, but
Underrated. I would say that. I would say underrated because he
bad man. Oh my goodness.
he never quite took off with clips as
Right.
much as they could have. But yeah, Drug Dealers Anonymous with him and Hove, amazing track.
You know, we could talk about music all day. Eh?
We
Like
can,
I feel like you and I just get into these zones, and like that's all
Yeah.
we want to talk about. Nothing wrong with that.
No,
But here we'll close it off.
let's end it. It's
I really
been
gotta get to bed, man.
Yeah, you
But
gotta-
tomorrow's Friday, so I'll take a sleepy day, and then Z's probably gonna be up in like a half hour anyway, so we got to that late night feed. But we'll close it off with this, and I really want people to, if you guys are picking up any jewels or learning anything from this other than our love of music,
Yeah.
it's the
Or if
buy
you're
the
enjoying it.
tools- What's that?
or even if you're just enjoying it, you don't have to learn anything. We're not
Oh,
here
no.
to teach anything. We're just here to fuck around and
Oh.
have a fun conversation where we both get like, oh shit, did you hear that? And you're like, oh man, I love that. And you're like, yeah, that shit's
If
fun.
you-
I enjoy that.
If you could see the number of tabs I got open here, because before I even leave the house tomorrow, I'm gonna be playing all this like throughout the
That's
house.
dope.
I love having the laptop playing the music video while I'm getting ready in the morning. It's not just enough
Oh,
for
yeah.
the music. I need the music video too. Sometimes depends
I
on the
used to
mood.
get-
It's Friday, right?
I used
So
to
need that vibe.
buy DVDs with music videos on them back
Hell
in the
yeah.
day. And
Hell
then
yeah.
every morning as I'm getting ready, I'm like just playing, there's like
It sets the
one
tone for the day.
just think of like Nas's all of his songs and one with Hove and yeah, it does.
Do you take some chances with your fashion because of hip hop? Like, do you like? Did you or do you like kind of like?
I took so many goddamn not even chances. I fucking set trends.
That's what's up. That's
I
what's
would
up.
okay, well, a couple of people copied what I did, but yeah, I absolutely. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna dress this way. I was talking to somebody the other day. I had 2 pairs of S Carters back when those were a thing. One
Fuck
was
yeah.
like black and green,
Reebok?
one was
Or
yeah,
Pro
Reeboks,
Cats?
yeah.
Right on.
Reeboks. One was black and green, and one was white and black. And I used to wear one of each on the foot. And people used to laugh. And I'm like, "Fuck all y'all! It's the same shoe." And yeah, it was yeah. But shit
Yeah,
like that,
nah,
I enjoyed doing that. That was fun to me.
Hell yeah.
Have your
I
own
catch
style.
Saturday
Don't
Nickers.
if you're gonna take anything away from this, have your own. Create your own style.
Create
Do
your
things
own
you want to
shit.
do. Don't think about what people.
And
or-
buy the
or-
tool instead of paying some
the
other
tools.
fucker to come do it. I mean, if you don't
Yeah.
have time, if you're really busy and you got like a really explosive career and that
You got time, you lazy fucks. Go do it.
pussy motherfucking mist setting on the fucking garden hose, motherfucker. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention was
Don't use a mist setting. That's no, don't use that unless it's a hot day and there's like a bunch of hoes around or something. Don't
There
use
you
that.
go. And it has its purpose, bro.
Yeah,
Um,
fair enough. I take it back. I take back everything I said.
or if you want your vegetables to stay crisp on your bodega. So the quote that we were talking about earlier is hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So
That's it.
That was
Brilliant.
it.
Math.
Maths. Quick maths. I'm gonna be listening to a
maths.
lot of music tomorrow, dude.
That's
A
dope.
lot. This is awesome.
Oh, and
Definitely-
check out
definitely
these
down with
tracks.
the
Whoever's listening to
workshops.
this, if you're a fan of hip hop, check out some of these tracks. Check out some of these artists. They're amazing, and they paved the way for a lot of
Hell yeah. I think it carved out our personalities, you and I, and our
Absolutely.
outlook. I think it gave us a hustler's mentality. Would you agree?
I would.
A different perspective on life, almost like a bird's eye view of the big picture,
Yeah.
or at least from their vantage point. So it was like, okay. Yeah, I think that's one thing that people criticize music for, where you could argue that hip hop's all about like thugs, gangsters, hoes, and drugs or whatever.
I'll defend that all day long, and I've had arguments. I had this girl tell me, she got into my car one time. I was giving her a ride, and she was like, and some song started playing. She's like, "Why are you listening to this?" She's like, "You listen to hip hop?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "I thought you were smart," and I was like, "The fuck does that mean?" I was like, "This is modern day poetry. This is like the most poetic thing you can listen to. Some of it, not all of it. Some of it's trash,
No,
but
that's the thing. You can say that about any art form. Any art form. You can say that about stand up. It's like, I thought you were smart. You listen to Bert. Have you listened to Bert?
yeah,
Have you taken the time to understand the construction of the jokes and how fucking intelligent this guy really is?
yeah."
And how much he loves it?
My one of my arguments to people is like, they're like, "Oh, it's so easy." I'm like, "Then do it." The fuck are you
Then
talking
do
about? If it's so easy, then do it. Everybody,
have the
one
balls
of the
to fucking bomb, fall flat on your face in front of like
Yeah.
30 people or
uh
300 people.
one of my favorite quotes by Hove of all time: "Everybody can tell you how to do it. They never did it."
Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm.
Let's finish up on that, I think, because I'm not going to say anything even remotely smarter than that. Not now, not ever. But yeah,
Nah, you got it, man. All right. So two dope boys on a podcast. We'll be here. Come join us. Come enjoy.
Please
We
do.
probably can't play too much music because we'll get kicked off of whatever streaming platform we're on at the time.
We'll try to link it. We'll try to link the songs and shit in the
Maybe
thing.
like a top 10 list or a suggested playlist. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, actually. A curated playlist.
Yeah,
Pretty sure we can do that shit, right?
we can.
On
Yeah, we can link
Spotify?
it some. Yeah, on Spotify we can recommend
Create our own and get people
songs and
listen
shit.
to it?
Yeah,
That'd be kind of fire, bro.
I would.
That's actually kind of nice idea. I like that. And then we'll talk off the air. So we're not giving out our ideas before we even fucking use them. Yeah, man. Hey, it was always a pleasure. And as always, we ran a lot longer than expected, but that's okay.
We'll cut it down to, I don't know. We'll cut out some of the shitty jokes I made.
Leave them in. Let people find. Let people feel the personality. There's gonna be someone out there who only likes your jokes who can't wait for me to shut the fuck up. Trust. All right, we're good to go.
I hope so. All right. Peace.
Cheers, brother.
Peace to
Talk to you soon.
yeah.